Oh, beautiful. Okay. So, welcome everybody to another one of these Dialogos sessions. And it's going to be me, Cicci, and Sam tonight, Samantha Taroni, with the little name Sam over there, talking about humility, forgiveness, and self-compassion. So, Sam, would you like to read the poem that you found?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a sec. I'm going to press record now.
It feels like it belongs in here because we're all journeying and because I feel very soothed when I listen to this poem. So I hope it's something in it for you as well. It's called Ithaca. As you set out for Ithaca, I hope your road is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. Lastrygonians, Cyclops, angry Poseidon, don't be afraid of them. You'll never find things like that on your way as long as you keep your thoughts raised high, as long as a rare excitement stirs your spirit and your body. Lastrygonians, Cyclops, wild Poseidon, you won't encounter them unless you bring them along inside your soul, unless your soul sets them up in front of you. Hope your road is a long one. May there be summer mornings when, with what pleasure, what joy, you enter harbours you're seeing for the first time. May you stop at Phoenician trading stations to buy fine things, mother of pearl and coral, amber and ebony, sensual perfume of every kind, as many sensual perfumes as you can. And may you visit many Egyptian cities to learn and go on learning. Keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you're destined for, but don't hurry the journey at all. Better if it lasts for years, so you're old by the time you reach the island, wealthy with all you've gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you the marvelous journey. Without her, you wouldn't have set out. She has nothing to give you now. And if you find her poor, Ithaca won't have fooled you. Wise as you will have become, so full of experience, you'll have understood by then what these Ithacas mean.
Oh, thank you, Sam. What a wonderful poem. Can you please put the title and the poet's name in the chat and we can find it? And if you have it electronically, paste it in. Oh, such a good poem for starting out a session. A rare excitement. So let's be the Phoenician trading store where we are trading ancient wisdom between us. The wonderful things we found along our path. So let's do some intros. I'm going to put up a slide here so that you have the mnemonic and are able to remember Cicci and Sam and I's names and find us. So I don't know if you want to introduce yourself first, Cicci.
Can do that. I didn't manage to find a good slide, so let's not have that. My name, however, is spelled like it is on the slide here, without the dash or the hyphen, and with a little couple of dots across the A in Bäckman, so it's Bäckman, which I hear are very hard to find on the computer.
There we go. It's right there. I did it.
You have the I, though, intact here, so you're giving as good as you get. Anyway, I've been doing Enneagram work. I've been doing working with inner work for 25 years plus now, and Enneagram almost as long. And my Enneagram work tends to be around the experiential bits, what you actually do with it, So while I love these little, all the triads and all the little things we can learn about the Enneagram, but I also think we'll just keep going round and round and round and learning more and more and defining more and more. We won't really get anywhere with the actual business of the Enneagram, which is to, get to know this. So I want to do stuff that promotes that kind of activities. And I have a couple of Substacks. Maybe we'll send out something after and we can add our stuff here. And homepage and a YouTube channel and a bit of this and that, where I do these things. I also give online courses on it.
Beautiful. And Cicci's been a wonderful part of the 5D journey, and Sam as well, part of that learning space. Very wonderful practitioner community full of teachers. So yeah, thank you for agreeing to be here tonight, Cicci. And Sam, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So
You've got a slide.
I have got a slide. Shall I share it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. So I have been lucky enough to have found Cici's work and Ingrid's work along the way. I'm in England, in the UK, and it's I think no accident really that you have to seek far and wide to find good Enneagram teachers with sound Enneagram practice. And the kind of practice I love is also experiential, and I found that in Cici's work with the centers and the instincts, and then, I found it in the 5D program and in Ingrid's journeys into the wounded heart, and these places where you can go deeper and start to experience what's really going on inside, and how the Enneagram can be an amazing map and a mirror for that. So along the way, I trained in breathwork, in soul collage, and developed a practice I call deep mapping, which is very much about getting out and about in nature and exploring out there. But really it's all about, I think, coming into deeper presence. So my bits and pieces and my channels are on the slide. I am also on Substack, which is my favourite place to write about the things. And I also love the fact that Cicci and Ingrid write on there too, and also another chap called Rob, who I often am happy to collaborate with as well, with Ingrid. And I don't know, it just makes for a thriving hub of people doing good stuff, in my view. So I'm really happy to be here and be part of this today.
Thank you, Sam. So I want to give you a little bit of what this session is going to look like. So we started a little bit late, so we'll hurry some of it up. So we've done some intros. And then what I'm going to do is just, Tom Condon speaks about the Enneagram as looking at yourself in cheap motel lighting. And the Enneagram gives us some of that. And that's often a catalyst for us. It's a bit of a shock point, discovering the Enneagram and like, whoa, that I knew that, but I didn't know that, if you know what I mean. Kind of exposing our blind spots, and sometimes it has that shock factor. So I'm going to give some of that. I find it helpful, even though it can feel quite unsettling. Hopefully, after having the bit of unsettlement, we'll be able to do some things in the session that will be able to hold that and create space for whatever arises. And then at the end of the session, after we've explored the 3 themes, Sam and Cicci are going to do an integration practice. And then we'll switch off the recording and we'll have some open sharing and discussion. So I hope that makes sense. And I'm going to start now with the cheap motel lighting. There's so much depth in the Enneagram. There's so much to learn. So I'm just going to put something up that's more at the kind of behavioral level rather than the deeper underlying drivers. What I invite you to do, sorry, before I flash so much text at you, I'd like you to choose a theme that for you feels most relevant to you right now. One of the three, whether it's humility, forgiveness, or self-compassion. So which one do you feel you'd like to go and fetch something from the Enneagram to bring into the session now? So just write which one you'd like to focus on internally. And then I'm going to put that slide up and you're going to see columns. And the first column is humility, the second, forgiveness, and the third, self-compassion. What I'm going to invite you to do is close in just on the thing that is yours, because you're probably going to want to read all of it. If you're an Enneagram 5, you're going to be freaking out because you want to know all of it before you take another step. So you're welcome to take a screenshot for later, but for the purpose of the exercise, and I will be sharing the slides, for the purpose of the exercise, just find that one little block, your type and the theme. So I'm going to do that and give you not very long because I don't want you to be tempted into reading the whole thing. Just read the box that is yours and find anything there. If there is something, you can just make a little note of it. Okay, so I'm going to make this slide big enough to see. Okay, I'm going to take away the slide now and just invite you to look at what you wrote. Bring awareness to what you felt when you read that. And just know that your feelings, your experience, and all that you are is welcome and held in this space. And that we are bringing an alongsideness to whatever your experience is right now. So with that, let's take a moment to breathe. Here together, almost as if we're a single organism, connected in our humanity. And the invitation is just to lengthen the out breath by 1 count. So if you're breathing in for 3, breathe out for 4. In for 3 and out for 4. Just knowing that all of you and whatever you recognize in yourself, welcome here in our human family together. And there's such a universality. So let's transition from the space, knowing that we're together and welcome, into the first theme, which is humility. And I chose this John O'Donoghue quote. And what I loved about it is the experience I had when I read it. Being an assertive type, I'm very pushy, I'm very excessive. One of the level 6 things of my type when I'm in the average level of health is that I'm excessive and insensitive, and I want my way as a 7. And I'm very impatient when I don't get my own way. And when I read this, I felt this easing of, I don't have to do that. I can take the shape of the otherness holding me, and that I don't need to be afraid that the otherness is going to be a source of harm and pain. That actually this holy plan idea that the Enneagram tells us of the holy idea of 7 is not a scam, and that I can relax. So that was my experience reading that as a 7, that I don't need to take over. It's such a relief. So I'd like to hand over to you, Cicci, and hear your reflections on humility, if there's an impression that the poem makes, or what you experience from your type around this theme.
I find myself, I mean, it's my way, I suppose, with all this inner growth stuff, and all, for me, for other 8s, for everybody, I think, for all the courses we've had, it's just we keep coming to, well, this is humility, and I love this John O'Donoghue thing. It was just such a beautiful image as well, and it's a cool idea, and I to take the shape of whatever holds me. And also I recognize obviously a lot of what you say about being pushy and not taking the shape of anything, thank you very much, and actually doing my thing. So and that is where, if I'm trying to focus on humility, and how can I achieve is almost a word that comes up, the humility of water or whatever. And it's like where I end up invariably is, why is this not happening? Like what is the blockages? What is the, and it's like, it sounds very negative in a way, because it's like, don't focus on the solution, by all means, focus on the problem. But it's like that's what I've seen so often, is that you can have, like, if you have a group exercise or a couples exercise, and people are talking about this thing with humility, for instance, and where they can find true humility, and they're going to bump into all the places where they can't. And then if you have them talking about what is the fear, what is blocking this thing, whether it's humility or anything else that we sort of want, at the end of such an exercise, the room sort of filled with humility in a way. It's a sort of a backwards thing that ego does. And so for me, I mean, obviously, the blocks to humility, I think, can come from any center, but specifically, it's a thing. it's like a block from the heart, isn't it? It's like there is always going to be a self-image thing in there that's not necessarily how I'm not seen the way I want to be seen. I want to throw my weight about. I want to have them confirm the identity. It's like a heart thing. And I was thinking about another thing. Yeah, the prestige thing, like again, a lot of self-image stuff comes up for me when I sort of reflect on what blocks humility for me. And then if I can start there in any particular situation where I sort of feel unhumble and sort of prideful or whatever, I can see what is the discrepancy between my self-image, the one I want to like promote, and the one that's being reflected back to me, and why does this chafe, and how can I so that tends to be my way of going about it, and with clients as well, I think is
Thank you.
a common
And
way.
yeah, thanks for that, Cicci. And you mentioned that you're a type 8. And whenever I think about type 8, I always think about the superhighway to point 2, the virtue of point 2, humility. And I think they're very special keys down the line. Sometimes I think people, 8s, understand humility better than 2s. And I often get that feeling 5s understand innocence better than 8s, because of it really is a superhighway. So when you speak about experiencing the chafe of the reality feedback and how you're being experienced versus the image you want to portray, I'm seeing that as a real teachable moment for me, of the courage to face that chafe. Like, okay, they're not buying my image. There's a discrepancy, there's a friction, and how do I be with that? That's what I'm hearing. Am I hearing you right?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it's rarely in this exact tidy form, obviously. But yes, I think so. If at all, if it occurs to me to reflect on it, I'm sure there are tons of situations where I just barge forward and don't really identify any lacking humility on my part. So there's that too, I suppose. But yeah, something like that. And because going to where it shapes, or going to where the ick feel, that where it's like, what is it? Is it Jill who quoted the ouch cringe vomit experience? I think that was it's a stellar expression. I love that. It's just very,
Oh God, hey.
very,
Yeah, the OCV.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So let's hear from you, Sam, your perspectives on this theme.
Yeah. Reactivity is such a big thing. I think at 6, that often it's a kind of a full-time job, just keeping up with my reactivity. And I was thinking about this metaphor of this beautiful river meandering along the valley. And then, for a 6, I'd be like, I'd get caught up in an eddy. There'll be a little swirly bit somewhere. I'd get caught up in an eddy, or where it's swerving around the corner, I'd be in the swerve, and it wouldn't feel so like it was this lovely thing meandering along. And then you were talking about the key of the line, and although I don't have a line to humility, I do have a line to 9. And I was thinking about a visualization I was once asked to do by a breathwork teacher. And he was getting me to imagine that I was standing in a river, and I was standing still, and the river was flowing, and I was just standing still. And at the time he asked me to do it, I almost felt vertigo. It was so difficult for me to, even as a visualization, even in my imagination, it felt almost impossible. And that was maybe 5 years ago. And then since then, I think that the breath has definitely restored me much, much, much more to my body and a capacity to become connected with my presence through my breath, like like a hack to that. And then when I'm in my breath, the other stuff, there aren't eddies, there aren't swerves. I'm just in my breath. So for me, I know it's not the same as humility exactly, but there is this sense of there's nowhere else to go. And it feels very reality based when I'm in my breath, I'm in my presence. There's not much else going on. And so whatever projections I've got going on, or whatever spinny stuff I've got going on with my thought, it kind of gives me a little bit of time out from it. And then even that just makes it less real and potentially a bit more framed in a balanced way that feels like it could have a quality of humility about it. And I do look to that line down to 9, and I see humility at 9. So I kind of aspire down that line a bit.
Wow, I love what you're saying with the breath as a kind of a refuge in a way from the reactivity, or a place that a kind of is an antidote in a way to reactivity. And then when you said projections, I was really imagining my way into that, because I mean, I've got a huge 6 wing, and I know that I go into wild projections, like the baddie is blown out of proportion, the baddie boss, and now I'm on the warpath, and it's so intense, and it's SX energy as well, SX7, SX6 wing. The projections are so vivid, and I become larger than life, and I want to charge in with rage. And that is a kind of the opposite of humility for me too. It's kind of becoming very big with the SX6 energy. It's not particularly humble. So I'm grateful that you mentioned that, because it feels like I can understand that what you're saying, there's humility there.
Yeah.
Because it's like the opposite of humility is projections.
Yeah, and there are so many swerves and eddies always available to me. Honestly, at any given moment, I could be swerving and eddying. I really could. So that's why I take this breathwork practice so seriously, because it keeps me on the straight and narrow.
The windy and narrow, the windy and broad.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to speak about crocodiles and things, not eddies, but thank you so much for unpacking the
He's
metaphor.
been doing this work for so many years now. Crocodiles are gone, only little eddies.
Well, I want to open the floor for a moment. Would anyone else like to correspond with the poem? What is your experience of a key to humility from your type? I know we've got a very precious Enneagram 2 friend of mine here. Maybe Lindy, I can ask you to give us something from your experience of living in your type. Would you be happy to do that?
Sure, let me give a shot of what's in my head. As a 2, always efforting, to love others, to please others. This poem really speaks mountains for me. Really a feeling of allowing something to hold me, instead of myself always feeling I have to hold and effort outward. This poem really feels like I'm that river being held, you know, by the sides of the river, and I can feel the flow, myself flowing and being held. And I think for me, it also just took me just to my recent Camino experience, where nature for 40 days just held me, and I felt what humility feels like, that being held, that being without any effort and just flowing through nature, feeling the care so deeply, feeling that the love of everything around me. Very sacred feeling.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The sense of nurturing in what you're saying, the whole thing. Thanks, Lindy. So let's go on to let's take a moment just to absorb and digest and process whatever's arising for you now before we go on. And there will be some more time at the end for more sharing and reflection, and we switch off the recording then as well. But just taking a pause. And maybe just that lengthening the out breath again, just to create some space for whatever is arriving for you. So I'm going to move on to our next theme, and that is forgiveness. Let you read it for yourselves. So I want to be absolutely sure that I say here that there is absolutely no pressure here, tacitly, overtly, to forgive. It's one of the things in trauma-informed work, is that we do not pressure people to forgive in any way, and we do not shame unforgiveness. There is absolutely no, you must forgive. There's a lot of research on the health benefits if you want an instrumental reason, and people who have forgiven speak about why. I've had many conversations with people who survived apartheid in South Africa, whether it was torture in detention or all kinds of terrible things that happened to people, and ask them, how did you forgive? And they said because they wanted to be that person. They wanted to be the person with no bitterness in their heart. And I found that very moving. And Thich Nhat Hanh as well, he's a Zen Buddhist monk in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. And many of his students were even killed. They'd go out to the market in the morning and they wouldn't come back. And he wrote a song about how the human being is not our enemy. The trauma, the pain, the distortions, the ideological brainwashing and conditioning, that's the enemy. The enemy is not the person. And he says that one of the ways that we can come to a deeper understanding is by imagining the perpetrator as a little child. And he's got a meditation where, if you have unforgiveness towards a parent, say, to in the guided journey to go and meet that person as a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old before maybe whatever happened to them that led to them being so harmful and so unconscious and so destructive. So that's one of the things I like to remember about the Israeli genocide of the Palestinians. And you can see I wear this keffiyeh everywhere. It's the smallest possible thing that I can do with a Jewish surname to show some kind of solidarity. Is that these apparent psychopaths were once little children playing in the sandpit. And they could have been playing there with the Palestinians. There wouldn't have been an ounce of hatred. And that's been very helpful for me to understand conditioning, to understand damage and brainwashing. And that has allowed me not to become hateful. So that's why I chose Thich Nhat Hanh. I find him very, very soothing. So I'm going to hand over to you, Cicci, if there's anything there for you and what it's been like for you on your journey around the theme of forgiveness.
Yeah, I have some of the same background, I think, as you're talking about. I've got my fair share of courses where forgiveness was raised as a topic, and we were encouraged to forgive, or you were doing rituals or whatever. And we came from reading Alice Miller and sort of go give the parents help, where you're not, well, there was a lot of talk about or understanding of how forgiving from a sort of mental perspective might just actually push whatever you need to process out of your awareness, which is unfortunate. And so, Per and I even had a lot more. He comes from a family with a mother too, who wants to, talk about everything, talk it out. I come from a family where you were sent to your room because I was an 8, they were not, and then it was dinner. So nobody ever talked about anything, asked forgiveness of anything. So Per and I sort of actually came up with the agreement for quite a few years in the beginning of our relationship, where we just agreed to not ask forgiveness, so as not to sort of try to manipulate the other person into letting go or whatever they were, the whole using it as a currency kind of thing. And then when I started doing all this work with the centers, it was so interesting because, just like humility, obviously, forgiveness, we talk about the heart, and the heart forgives, and the understanding that he talks about in this quote is obviously not just intellectual understanding, it's an understanding in the heart. So forgiveness, very much a heart quality. However, when I find myself not being able to forgive, I can work on my heart center till I drop dead, and I won't find the resistance in the heart center. Resistance, listen to the word. It's like we even have these digestive metaphors. We say, I can't get past it. It's a moving metaphor. I can't, digest this. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. We have all kinds of language that just alerts us to the fact that the one that forgives is sure the heart. The one that doesn't forgive is not the heart. The heart might be fine. The gut is going to say, fucking no. I'm going to dig my heels in. I'm not going to, because I still resist that whatever happened.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer it not to have happened. And when I saw that was the dynamic, it was because I could visualize them as 3-year-olds, and it could work in the moment. I didn't do that exact exercise, but that kind of thing. It would work in the moment, but I would notice down the line that it didn't really stick because there was still this resistance in the gut. And so when I started looking at it from there, like, what is the gut trying to do for me here? Oh,
yes.
And it was like I could meet that with understanding and not something that needed to be fixed. And then for me, forgiveness, once I forgive something I previously didn't forgive, it's not an issue anymore. I can never say I forgive you and thereby change. It's not a performative verb. It's not like I'm going to create forgiveness by saying it, which they tried to make you do in daycare, didn't they? Say you're sorry now. And it's like, I just wake up one morning or have lunch or whatever, and I realize it's forgiven. It's gone. The resistance isn't there anymore. And the heart, yeah, of course. But it's like the resistance to forgiving is going to be a gut thing. So I need to look at what that does and is for me. That's been my
Thank you.
way.
And those of you who may not see the gut center as autonomy, dignity, that's very much how I see the gut center in terms of our human dignity. And the rage in the gut center is when love is violated. So the type 9 is holy love. It's the center of the gut center. And when holy love is violated in any way, the most appropriate kind of response is holy rage. I see them as so connected.
Yeah.
And it just is resonating with me so much, Cicci. You're saying that forgiveness is in the gut. Forgiveness is in that 9, that I don't need that disgust or resistance or rejection or armoring anymore.
No, and I think, yeah, I suppose it's just a matter of how we phrase it. But to me, forgiveness is still in the heart. But again, it's going to have to be allowed. And that is not allowing it because they violated me.
Exactly.
Agency needs to be restored, and
yes,
whatever
yes,
you said, yeah.
So I was talking with a friend about that yesterday, about there's certain unforgiveness that is stuck in me, and I've tried this and that, and in my Substack I wrote about it, the rituals and the mud and the, all the things to try and forgive, because now I feel I have to. But realizing that the unforgiveness is a protector. It's there for a good reason.
It has a message. It has something to say. And until we listen to it, it's going to be, it's just not going to, be interested in cooperating because we haven't listened yet.
So that for me, the unforgiveness is a way of making sure it doesn't happen again. It's a shield against that kind of experience ever happening again. And realizing that, I think, is going to be a very helpful key to me, that when I realize I can look after myself, that's never going to happen again. The unforgiveness doesn't need to be the thing that looks after me. So that's what you evoked for me and what you said. Thank you. Sam, what are your reflections on forgiveness and what you...
Yeah, I really, I loved what you said about the gut, Cicci. And I think for me, there's been a big issue around choice in forgiveness, and having to peel back some layers of conditioning that says forgiveness is good, therefore you should forgive, therefore you should be able to give, and actually to really sit in the place of genuine choice of what if I choose not to. And I'm actually on a course about forgiveness right at the moment. It's been a 6-week course, and I've absolutely got so much out of it because I've had to really sit into some murky old swamp of where am I at with forgiveness? Because there are things that I want to look at. There are things that my adult self is quite ready to let go of and do some kind of resolving and some resolution around, where I've been just holding on to some grudges and things like that. And there's some much deeper stuff where actually sitting in my autonomy of protecting the vulnerable part that felt very, very betrayed, very, very let down. is needs the self-compassion, actually needs the care, needs that more than the forgiveness. And I think, I think it's wonderful that we're approaching all of these in a trio, because they feel so interwoven. It's like doing the right thing at the right time, the right piece of work at the right time. And there's some pieces for me that are definitely needing that, and also really appreciating me standing up for myself in this course and saying what my boundaries are around this matter, even though I might not be going along with the flow of the course that's framing forgiveness as being, very much a positive route to enlightenment almost, So that's been a excellent but difficult, friction-giving experience to be on the course. And then this idea of the one that does not forgive then being extremely helpful and an ally, actually, in supporting my agency, my deeper agency, so that at the point, that I do choose to forgive something, it will be very much on terms that all the parts of me can get behind. And there's a kind of an alignment coming more clearly into view, and that feels solid. That feels much more solid. Yeah. And one piece I wanted to say in your slide, Ingrid, that when I read it, I was like, ooh, you will need to grieve your idealizations and that you needed them. That was like a streak of lightning that I will give a lot of thought to, because that just makes a lot of things go for me. So thank you for that. That's just golden.
I'm glad that was helpful to you. There was I noticed how much grief there was on that slide. As I wrote it, it was just more and more and more about grieving our illusions in a way. I mean, it's such a sevenish theme, but thank you for that. And I love the way you framed it in parts language. I think that's super helpful, that the part of us that doesn't want to forgive is an ally. It's a protective ally, and it's in the service of our higher agency. It's in service of something. That unforgiving part needs to see something before it is prepared to retire. So I'm very grateful that you use that language. And if we had another hour, I'd say let's all interview the part of us that doesn't want to forgive and ask it, what do you need to see from me in order to be able to adopt a different role? I understand that you're an ally. Can you help me to understand what you need to see from me as an adult to trust me that you don't need to protect me as much anymore? So thanks for that, Sam.
I know we're a bit behind on, or before, or whatever, with time, but can I just comment on that quickly?
Please, yeah.
I have, I've realized that when I do honor the gut, as it were, by asking, as Samantha said, this is a part of me that wants to protect me. When I look into that, I don't know if it's always, but very often I find I sort of, that separates me from whatever I'm not forgiving. It's like it takes the energy back, looking at me, what I need, and the other person and the event that caused the unforgiveness becomes irrelevant. And so I do wake up the next morning and I've forgiven it. That is, I don't bother with it anymore, because I've taken home, I've reclaimed the energy. So that is a cool thing that happens as well.
That's beautiful. And in the domains of integration in Daniel Siegel, It's that, it's bringing home these different parts, it's bringing home the energy, it's reclaiming. So then, I mean, what I'm hearing there is there'd be narrative integration, integration of consciousness, temporal integration. Out of those 9 domains of integration, there are quite a lot of things that happen there. And then when we feel integrated, our awareness is not hooked into that story and going round and round. We've actually brought it home. We've brought our awareness home to our own inner experience. I'm very grateful that you said that. So it's like forgiveness is a kind of reclamation.
Yeah. And it has nothing to do with the other person.
Yes, that's what people say over and over again, but until you get it, you don't get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And it feels, because again, it feels like a trade-off. If I forgive you, you can do whatever you want again. And then I realized there's nothing to do with them whatsoever. It's just
Yeah.
being poisoned, basically. So,
I haven't seen them for 15 years. I don't need to worry.
but I want them to feel bad, and I'm sure they will if I think nasty things about them.
Yeah. If I stop thinking nasty things, they'll suddenly appear. But they say that in the case of narcissistic abuse as well, where you've been gaslit, your reality has been destabilized, you've got a lot of identity wounding. One of the things that the experts always speak about is don't let the narcissist live rent-free in your mind. And easier said than done, but it's a very powerful part of this, that you don't need to ever think about anything they did as fine, but you can reclaim your awareness and your being. And maybe we call that forgiveness. I'd prefer to call it erasure, but we can say forgiveness too. Anyone else want to add in on this theme before we move on to self-compassion and then the integration process? Anyone here who's had to work hard at this? And I do know that some of you have because of our connection and our relationship. Anyone want to say something? Love to hear from you.
Maybe I can say something, and Anna, tell me what your thoughts are, because you're a fellow one. I experienced growing up quite a lot of pressure to so this concept of forgiveness was considered kind of a higher spirit thing. So as a one, you want to be good and do good, and yeah, so I'm wondering to myself whether premature forgiveness isn't just a different kind of reaction formation.
Can you say more about that? Because reaction formation is such a complex defense mechanism in the theory. I don't even know if I know what it means.
Well, the way I've come to know it is it's a falsehood. But because it's a defense, it seems to other people that there's an alignment with whatever's happening, because, well, in my experience, I haven't wanted to make a fuss and I didn't use my voice to speak out. So, but I really just stuffed whatever I was feeling somewhere, still trying to figure out where. So my gut isn't always very kind of accessible, because I haven't always used it in a way. So it's like a suppression of instinct. So whether or not I might have felt that I wasn't ready to forgive, I might have done it because, growing up in a religious kind of background, that was the right thing to do. We forgive, and we be good children, and we comply, but it's not gone. So I'm just wondering, how other Enneagrams might experience that.
Oh, thank you for that. So it's about the reaction formation is I'm going to put on the right, appropriate, demanded attitude, behavior, and even adopt the thoughts that I'm supposed to be having.
Yeah.
The actual feeling and the instinct is somewhere, but even the where is a bit of a mystery. Where is it? So thank you for that, Jill. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, but something I maybe want to share, which is a bit left field. Some of you may know the song by Brian McFadden. It's called Irish Sun. I don't know whether any of you know it, but the lyrics are a little bit about a young boy who grows up in a religious Catholic kind of background. And the lyrics go, I was born in the heart of Dublin to a holy book full of rules, made to get on our knees every Sunday with the other fools. And this verse particularly I love, where he says, we were warped by the Christian brothers in the cell blocks at our school, got a handprint on our skin from a glove of jewels. And then this verse particularly I love, come hit me now, that I'm twice your size.
Wow.
So like that really speaks to me kind of from a childhood agency point of view, you know. We gather back our agency maybe as adults, and we now have a sense of power. So I can relate a lot to this, although I didn't go to a Catholic school, but I was literally in an institution for my entire childhood. So I experienced a sense of this, and it felt very liberating hearing these lyrics, because there's something about personal power there. It's about taking back your sense of strength and not having to kowtow to the rules necessarily. So yeah, just a thought that I wanted to share.
Thank you. I love that's what's coming out here is in the forgiveness piece is about power and agency. I'm finding it so heartening. Feels like there's some really valuable stuff here. Thank you for that. And Anna, Jill mentioned you and she outed you as one. You don't have to agree. You can back out of it if you want to, but would you like to say anything about that? About forgiveness for you?
Can I say something then?
Yes, please.
About forgiveness. There was one piece that I read, and that was about the drama triangle. In my family, I took up the role as the rescuer, and later I became a coach. So that's the sort of the positive anti for rescuer. But I really had to do some work about the rescuer, and then I read a beautiful piece which explained to me about forgiveness, and that was, it's forgiving. Forgiveness is forgiving. I don't have any other words so much to it, but I remember when I read it, I so understood it. Just the meaning of the word forgiving is forgiving. I mean, they do something to you. They are projecting on you. It's about them, what their thoughts, their beliefs, sometimes false beliefs. And I remember it really, really helped me. That gave me good insight. Forgiveness is forgiving. And then as a rescuer, wait until you're asked to do something, you know, don't go helping, but wait until you're asked. But
Thank you.
Thank you.
So is it like when someone's done something to you that it's for giving back to them? It's like, this is not mine. This is you. This is about you. I don't need to concern myself with it. I'm bringing my energy back to myself in a different way. Can you explain a little bit more maybe about that, the forgiving What are you giving?
Their responsibility. They've been blaming me. They've been doing cruel things to me. They've been misjudging me. And I was always rescuing and helping. So it's just like, I'm not trying to understand it anymore. I'm just, go away. Stay, keep your words, keep your shit, keep your, whatever you are projecting on me. It's,
Oh,
stop it, just stop it. That was narcissistic abuse that was thrown upon me. So it was like, here, keep your shit, forgiving, give it, keep it. I'm not taking it anymore.
it reminds me of this wonderful exercise. I sometimes do it with my coachees, whether if they're in the middle of something and they're struggling, I say, okay, let's just stand up, and then we take a big step back and we push the entire situation to the horizon of our awareness. We push it away and we shrink it a bit and we put it over there, and then holding it there, we breathe. And then we take a hand, and I still like to keep my hand up, put a hand to our heart, to our gut, remind ourselves that we're here, and then tap into our deepest values and connect with ourselves.
Exactly.
And from that place of deep inner intention of knowing who we are, then we can step forward and engage when we're ready. But what you were saying, the forgiving, for me is maybe even part of that exercise going forward is give it all back. Just give it back and find your place in it.
You see my movements. I need to move, and there's a lot of emotion and feelings when I'm expressing myself. You can hear that. So yes, just it's like a ball that I need or something. I just need to throw something. Just forgive. I mean, keep your accusations and all your BS, keep it with you. I mean, I don't need your projections. I forgive you. It's forgiven. It's go away. Leave me at peace. And I want to, I have to take care of myself and take my responsibility.
Yeah.
So it's like that. Beautiful the way you pick it up. Thank you, Ingrid.
So when I'm hearing that, I'm thinking, well, if I can do that, then I won't even need to start off with forgiving. You keep it. Cicci, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I just want to address the fact that we're exactly 20 minutes beyond schedule.
Okay, thanks for that.
Need to ask if we can stay a little bit over, if that would be okay with everybody, or if that's not how you do it. We just need to figure out how to do the rest of that.
I think let's move on to the next theme, and then we've scheduled an extra half an hour after the formal session closes. So if we drift into that a little bit, that'll be fine. Okay, let's go on to the next. Thanks for that, Cicci. I always have to get a timekeeper because I get so lost. Anything else you want to wrap up with, Sam, before we move on? Are you?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Let's go on to the next one. Okay, there's a lot more content on here. The idea here that it resonates between the infographic and the quote is bringing curiosity and acknowledging the inner critic and being able to name it. So let me just let you read for a minute. So let me invite you in, Cicci. You can maybe start us on this round, your relationship with this topic.
Yeah, it's funny you should say this about curiosity, because I've been saying for a long time that curiosity is the #1 remedy for judgment, because genuine curiosity is not compatible with a judging stance. It's not really, they sort of cancel each other out a little bit. You can fake one while the other is going on, but it's not going to really be true. So I very much agree with curiosity being the way, or a big chunk of the way. And also I very much agree, as for, to sort of come back to my center approach, that the superego is, aka the head, is going to be a huge reason why this, again, very heart informed and induced quality of self-compassion gets, well, the spokes in the wheel of that are going to come from the superego. Because it's not really, and to me, it's been, I had quite some trouble identifying my superego, or my inner critic, not because I didn't believe I had one, but just because it doesn't speak. It just gives me the cold shoulder, and I'm in the doghouse, and it should really have been different. Speaking of forgiveness, it's a very sort of judgy, and it's not judging by specifics, it's just saying this is bad, do over. And most things that you regret or feel bad about, you can't do over because they happened already. So it's sort of a very weird standoff. So very much a superego thing, I think, a lot of the time. And again, all kinds of centers can come in and act like blockages in all kinds of situations. But if you have a problem, or sort of if you lack self-compassion sometimes, hello, I think most of us can sort of admit to that, and it's definitely going to be worthwhile looking at the inner critic and what is going on there, and being aware that it doesn't always speak, doesn't always have thoughts that you can put out on paper. It can just be this, well, there's no love for you, basically, because you did something wrong. So now either just wait until it's forgotten, or compensate somehow. That's what my inner critic will advise. So yeah, so that's a big part of my, for a long time, and current self-compassion work, if we can call it that. It's going to be around the superego.
So when you say superego work, and I just want to thank you for pointing out that not all the inner critics are the same. You know, when you speak about yours, it doesn't talk. I just hope everyone here who is a coach is really taking note of that, because we make a lot of assumptions about the intrapsychic world of our client. And if they're a very different type and tri-type, they're not going to be having the same submodality experience as us. They're not going to have the images, the voices, the kinesthetic experiences. So what works for us isn't going to work for them, potentially. So Cicci, superego work, what does that mean?
It can mean a bunch of things, I think. It can mean, I mean, in the beginning, when we start doing it, it can really mean putting down what the superego thinks, whether it voices it or not in a particular voice, or in even words. We can subtext it to sort of try and figure out what is it that I'm trying to aspire to, which is as natural to me to aspire to as breathing, because I was brought up to believe this is the ticket to whatever I covet. And then it's sort of tipped over in the last decade or so. I don't know when it changed, but it's sort of morphed into being, for me, about self-compassion, I suppose. I mean, this is, again, they're just two sides of the same coin. It's being noticing and being curious, and noticing, again, for me, often the visceral aspect of it, the somatic aspect of it, the energetic. I mean, it's not even the five senses is like subtler than that. But notice that, and not criticize myself for having self-criticism, which is like an interesting hamster wheel we can get upon sometimes. But just so it's been meeting it with love, not as in this is an entity that I'm going to befriend or whatever, but again, if something is my absolute conviction is that there's nothing that happens in my psycho, spiritual, physical, whatever entity that's shit. It's all meant to do something good. It's widely off sometimes, but the intent is good. So what is this actually? And that is where the curiosity comes in.
Oh, that's gold. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And in the IFS language, no bad parts. To be able to include and include everything. And my friend Petra, who I often work with as well, speaks about, she said once, well, my inner critic's got an inner critic. You know, sometimes we do have that. And when you work with Enneagram ones, you start working with them around self-compassion, and then they say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm judging myself again. And then you are into that recursive spiral of self-judgment. So how do we bring this magic of inclusion and curiosity? So thank you for that. And Sam, I'm going to hand over to you.
Oh, well, yeah. Thought that was gold as well.
I hear you, Sam. I'm just going to have to leave the screen for a little bit.
Oh, sure. So for me, I think that the tri-type model is super, super helpful for me in sometimes figuring out what on earth is going on inside of me. Because these different aspects in my tri-type can have such wildly different ideas about how things are supposed to be and what I'm trying to achieve. And are constructing different versions of events and can get caught up in all sorts of things. And I think how things are supposed to be can be a very powerful driver. And I think to some extent, every personality is doing that, you know, has a how things are supposed to be versus how things actually are. And the banging up against that is painful, really painful at times. And that, for me, actually just having a personality doing its thrashing about requires self-compassion. And when there's self-compassion, it's like another version of interruption, I think. You know, you see a personality doing its thing, and then you think, okay, this is how I think things should be, and this is how things actually are. And I know that I've got to somehow get to a place where I can tolerate what's actually happening. And there needs to be something that comes in between there. And I think that's self-compassion. It's almost a kindness at my own recognition of the human condition of having a personality, having these ego strategies, 3, bouncing around, ping-ponging off each other a lot of the time. And if I can introduce this kindness, this witness, you know, you talk a lot about the inner observer, Ingrid, but the one that has a quality of compassion about it and is quite calm and quite soothing and can, you know, just talk me through. Yeah, you didn't want it to be like this, did you? No. no, this isn't quite what you had in mind. This isn't how this was meant to roll. And then that almost creates space for things like, yeah, having a sense of humor about the ridiculousness of the human condition and how actually bonkers so much of modern life is as well. You know, the systemic stuff, the political stuff, the everything of it. And then somehow you've got to kind of still do this adulting, still do this day to day, still do the, you know, the bits and pieces that make up a day. I don't know, it just feels really, really important, this self-compassion one. As an interruption at any, as required.
Thank you.
Especially in inner work, where there's we tend to get another new iteration of the superego coming in, being the spiritual superego, and now we have different ideals maybe, but they're still there. And it's so easy, I think, especially in the beginning of that journey, to sort of throw self-compassion out with the bathwater because we're trying to be better people, and that surely, you know, and yeah, so to be on the lookout for, I think, even in the more advanced years of the growth journey.
Totally. And in the diamond approach in our master's work, and in Helen Palmer and in a bunch of the teachers, differentiating from the superego is one of the first pieces of work, is that if we are shoulding ourselves, you should, we're creating a split in the psyche, and we're not really able to be with what is. So how do we recognize spiritual superego? How do we recognize that we're now efforting and striving and trying to be a level 1 person instead of the level 6, you know, like getting busy with the Enneagram in our heads. I definitely spent a long time there, like telling myself how I should be using the Enneagram. And I think that's a bit of a cul-de-sac or a red herring, that we think we're gonna fix ourselves. The one thing that I noticed when I was creating this content around the key things, that my biggest barrier to self-compassion as a 7 is that if I feel self-compassion, then I'm gonna feel all the other feelings, and I don't want to. Self-compassion means compassion for the fact that I have pain. No, thank you. Then I'm admitting that there's pain. I am not going near it. So self-compassion for me has always been such an alien concept that I've stayed so far away from, because it is a lid that self-compassion takes the lid off all of the things that are there, all the pain, and it opens up a lot. So I would also say there, be aware of that you need to titrate self-compassion. It's the same way, you know, when we're coaching, we think, oh, grounding, self-compassion, all of these things are unambiguously good, but they are very, very threatening as well. The same way as we resist forgiveness because the unforgiveness is protecting us, the lack of self-compassion is also protecting us. So to try and push a client towards it is misunderstanding the kind of inner ecology. If you try and get your 7 client, your 8 client, 3, it's going to be very alien for quite a long time, because that titration is key. It's often with grounding practices as well. As a 7, you know, if someone does a grounding practice, sometimes I get such a lot of grief. I don't want to do grounding practices. Why would I want that? So just appreciating that our resistances to these so lovely sounding things serve a really important purpose. So there's no pushing. It's how do we work sensitively with exactly what is. So anyone else want to comment on this one or share something about your self-compassion journey, anything you've discovered? And then we can go into the closing practice that Sam and Cicci have got. Anyone like to reflect on this one? Anything standing out? Maybe Nancy or Janice. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Janice. Either of you like to say something?
Yeah, Janice is right. Self-compassion was the one that I chose. Although it's funny, I, I, I think not even being aware of it, not even being conscious of it, it's something that I've been working on. As I was reading what Marie-Louise wrote and the image on the side, I'm like, I kind of unconsciously almost do some of these things. And I guess I'm learning, as I get older, I'm learning to be a little bit more gentle with myself because it's not getting me anywhere not to do that. And not to project, I'm a 7 also, and not to project onto others because that doesn't do any good for particularly my spiritual self-growth. And at 72, that's where I'm at right now. That's like the most important thing. There's not much time left. So it's not that I don't care about others, but I don't care about others. I need to work on myself at this point.
Yeah, thanks for that, Janice. And isn't it wonderful and validating when that happens? We're like, hey, I found that out by myself. It's very cool.
But I don't do that by myself. It's from listening to other people and reading, and I'm a therapist, I'm a psychotherapist. So it's like kind of maybe internalizing this stuff, not intentionally.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
Nancy, is there anything you want to say about any of these before we move to the practice? You're on mute. Nancy, you're on mute still. You're back on. There we go. There we go. Don't touch anything.
Just on self-compassion?
On any of it.
Well, there's something monolithic about how all of this is being discussed because humility, forgiveness, self-compassion arise from some specificity in your own experience or with someone. And if you take forgiveness, it's not like, oh, for 20 years we had this great relationship and then something happened and now it's over and I have to make sense and then forgive whoever it is or whatever got triggered in me. You're still debating what happened, and you're debating your responsibility, and you're debating your level of hurt. Is it over the top? Is it under? And I mean, this is interpersonally. I mean, I'm not talking about the Nazis or something, but the clarity doesn't come that quickly because you're not even sure what you're figuring out. You know the action that the event or the realization, but how can I forgive when I'm not even sure what I'm forgiving? And no, I mean, heart-wise, yeah, I can forgive someone who I have many people who have hurt me or betrayed me, but it's affected me going forward.
Mm.
And it doesn't mean I haven't forgotten them or I haven't, forgiven them. What do I need to forgive myself because now I'm affected by it? I just don't know where to go with this.
Mm. Mm. Thank you for that. I'm grateful that you brought that in because it's not monolithic. It's so complex and momentary and subtle and specific, really, really specific. And you're reminding me of that Rilke letter to the young poet about staying with the question, stay with the question. So what I'm hearing and what you're saying is a much deeper level of curiosity where
You don't know which level of reality,
yeah,
which almost dimension to look at it.
yes, that makes a lot of sense to me. And it's this the debating. I wouldn't see it just as a head debating. It's the heart, it's the feelings, it's the gut, it's the whole being, it's the narrative. It's we're living in this inner I don't know, debate, correspondence. So I'm glad that you kind of didn't let us tie any bows.
Well, I never do. I just read this thing by Carl Jung. Empaths will always outgrow, let's say, those whom they love or who love them. So it's a lifetime of betrayal. And it's built in.
Mm.
So, I mean, they go together, humility, forgiveness, and self-compassion. Once you decide it's just not a clear-cut thing of blame, and then forgive your idealizations because you needed them. I'm sorry, all of life is an idealization. I don't even know how to break that down. So this is a lot to process.
We'll go to Buddhist summer camp, Nancy.
Okay, I always wanted to go to camp.
Cicci, your hand's up, and I'm going to hand over to you completely for however you want to take the integration with Sam.
Yeah, we just need some time frame because the time frame is now. We're supposed to have ended the whole thing 6 minutes ago, so we're now in no time.
Okay.
So
Well,
we just need to know if anybody needs to leave, because that obviously we'll have to adapt whatever we're doing. Yeah.
so I would say do your practice as you intended. Sam, do you need to drop off soon as well? You're on mute though.
No, I was just noticing Janice had her hand up, so I was gesturing goodbye and thank you to Janice in case she was dropping off.
I am, but I'll wait to listen to what Ingrid has to say.
Okay, sorry, Janice. So Jill and Janice, if you need to drop off, I would highly recommend you come back to listen to the practice because it's I know that it's going to be lovely. Sam and Cicci do beautiful things. So if you do need to drop off, when you do, thank you so much for joining us and handing over. Thank you.
How much time do we take per section?
I'll leave it to you to decide. You know, I don't.
Asking Sam, what's the minimum of time you need for one section?
Maybe 5 or 6 minutes.
So do we have like 20, 25 minutes for this? Yeah. I'm asking Ingrid.
I'm totally comfortable with that.
Okay, it's good then. So let's do that. So as we've been talking about almost, I think, a little bit already, it's been coming into the comments, all these three quality, they're sort of facets on the same gem in a way. And they're all very deeper heart kind of facets. So it's heart area, but it's not just the heart as in our emotional ism and our self-image and stuff, but there is a deeper way of the heart as well. So we'll be integrating all of these things now, hopefully, via some stations, and we'll start in the body station, the physical being of me, my physical body, its energy. And if you want to, I encourage you to be on the floor if that's good for you, so you can sort of feel your feet on whatever is the floor, the carpet, whatever. And just take a little minute to be upright, to just feel this. And you can still sit, just see that the soles of your feet or the sit bones or whatever, just connect with whatever is under you. And you might want to take 1 or 2 deeper breaths just to sort of notice this body again. We've been talking a lot, and even if we've been talking about centers and some bodily experiences, usually something happens if we sort of physically come back into this body temple, to put it well, in a glorified way. But this is like the whole thing that carries me through life. And as we might have seen, that might have put some spokes in the wheel, blockages in the way, might have slowed us down now and again, just to sort of, again, possibly protect me, make sure that I don't rush off into something which might be dangerous for me. Whatever it's been doing, just sort of honor this instinctual bit of you in some way that feels like a good way for you right now to do that. Maybe you just want to stretch out a little bit to the sides, sort of really fill out the space you're in. Take up the space that your body's actually taking up, so you're not shrinking inside, or at least notice if you are shrinking inside of your body. See if you maybe want to like inflate the mattress a little bit, or the floating aid or whatever, and just see that you can take up the space that your body takes up anyway, that it wants to take up on your behalf. And then just see if there's a way right now that you might want to thank this body for all the things it does for you on your behalf. Sometimes you agree with them, you think it's very good that it does what it does, and at other times you might not agree as much. But right now, see if you can just say, wow, all this is actually done for me. I'm here today. I've lived all this time, and this is being done for me. And maybe you want to finish this little part of the exploration off with a final twirl or a breath or whatever. And I will hand over to Samantha for the next piece.
So just from exactly where you are, with your body perhaps a little bit more real and full of its substance, its substantiality than it was just a few moments ago. Maybe feeling into its actual experience of itself right now, right here. I'd like you to invite you just to come up now, as if we're kind of going to circle up into the space around your head and your mind, which may have been quite busy, pulling meaning, relating strongly, identifying, disidentifying, moving thoughts around, dismissing other thoughts, perspectives, doing what minds do. I'd like to just invite you, with the awareness of all of that meaning making that's been happening, just to be with all of it. The you connecting with meaningness of it. And just to hold that in a space of deep respect and even love of your own capacity to filter through so much material, so much content, and know what's in it for you, what's not in it for you. That capacity to titrate maybe new meanings, also to filter out things that you know aren't for you, or maybe were for you one time but they're not for you now. All of that discernment that's been going on as we've been connecting and sharing and being together. And just to hold that in a kind of reverence, and perhaps even an openness to a higher still level of thought that is holding all of this. Maybe holding this entire session in its consciousness, in a field, maybe Rumi's field, where we meet beyond ideas of right and wrong, and lie down in that green grass. And just breathe a little with that, all of that, all of your meaning making, your discernment, your capacity for thought, and your capacity to be inspired by new thought that hasn't arisen before. When that feels honoured, truly honoured, I'd like you to invite you to come down into your heart space with your attention, and to allow your sense of beingness just to settle there for some time, in this place, this spaciousness in the center of your chest that knows all about connection, about love, about longing, about another kind of meaning making. And I'd like to invite you to take your hands and to connect them with each other. So to take yourself in some way by the hand. And to experience your heart space at the same time as experiencing yourself, taking yourself by the hand in whatever way that feels good. Maybe it's a very firm kind of hand holding. Maybe it's something very tentative, very gentle. Maybe it's gradual. And just feel out the connecting of your hands with one another. And just notice if there's just a little imprint that you taking yourself by the hand has on your heart space. Now that we're in this space, I'm going to hand over to Cicci, who's going to take us a little further.
Wherever you are right now in this integration of all three centers, the body, the feet, the instinctual realm, and the mental realm, the ideas, the understanding, the meaning that we make. And then, as Sam was saying, there's meaning in the heart as well, just of a different flavor. And there's this connection with yourself. You might want to take, again, an extra deep breath, whatever feels like the right way for you. Just sink a bit further into this heart space. And it might be like, you might notice, happens for me, that when there is this deepening in the heart, it's sort of the boundaries between heart and me kind of start dissolving a little bit. It's like this is not exactly the heart center as 1 out of 3. This is the heart of me, the essence of me, where all this emulates from when there is actual humility, when there is actual forgiveness, when I find myself having self-compassion. This deeper heart, or the deeper self, is the place where this originates from. And so you might want to explore the edges of the experience of this deeper heart. Just allow this sense of expansion, if you will, or whatever form it has for you. And maybe in this, you start noticing that the bigger heart, or the deeper heart, is not only in you, but you are also in the deeper heart. You are held by this deeper heart. And sometimes we actually feel that, sometimes we might not. Other times again, we might start feeling it and they say, ooh, and then pull back because it feels a bit scary maybe. And whatever happens, whatever your experience is right now, it's just notice. You're just exploring this bigger sense of the heart, not just as a center, but as the space in which I exist. The holding in which all these qualities of humility or prestige and self-image, defense and forgiveness, or unforgiveness and rigidity and blockages and self-compassion or superego, blame, or whatever, all of this exists within the parameter of the deeper heart. All of it is held here. So whatever that feels like for you right now, if you have a sense of this being the case, or you have a sense of this really not being the case, whatever you have a sense of right now would be within this holding of love, very ground of our existence. So you might want to take your hands and put them over your heart, or hold them just open to the sky. Hands are a very good way to direct energy or to affirm energy. So just see what feels right for you. If it feels right to do something with your hands for the energy that you're experiencing right now. And then in your own time and very slowly, you can come back into the little group that we have. And the screen where we currently meet from all our different centers and experiences and thoughts and questions and whatever it may be. Yeah, look, hearts. And I'm thinking that there might be space still for a few of us who are still here to say something about the experience right now. Yeah.
Would that be time to stop the recording?
Yeah, maybe.
Thank you so much for the beautiful practice, Sam and Cicci. I'm going to close off here and we'll send out the information. Okay. Would anyone like to share? Go ahead.
I actually feel that Bindi is sharing something right now. It's just not, it doesn't have a word,
Yeah.
but it's just.
I'm filled with gratitude for this opportunity to just end my year like this. Sitting with a lot of self-doubt, one not knowing that something needs to come out of me, and then the inner critic sometimes is bashing me. So the self-compassion, I think that was a theme I really held to my heart this evening. self-compassion and reminding myself to just keep being gracious with myself. And I did feel that grace today, you know, just felt together, felt held in this space, feeling all my energy coming back, my clarity coming back. And I know that I need to do what I need to do in life. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindy. Thank you. Anyone else like to share?
I was thinking about what you said before, Ingrid, on how some of these practices might feel threatening to people depending on where we're coming from, and how self-compassion might be a challenge for like a 7 or an 8. And I was just thinking that it's interesting because for many hello, for many years, I wouldn't even have considered the need for so of course I've got self-compassion. It's like, I'm good. I don't feel bad about stuff. And in retrospect, it's very clear it was all license and entitlement. But I would subtitle that as self-compassion, because it sort of, from the ego's point of view, they're quite similar. And so that's interesting too, how we can sort of, I mean, it's the same with forgiveness. We forgive people like a quid pro quo kind of thing, where we expect them to then, if you forgive me now, then you should fucking let go of then you've sort of forfeited your right to mention this again, actually, because I said I'm sorry and you said yes, that's okay. And so we use these. I think that's so often so with the hard qualities overall, that the ego sort of takes them and just twists them around to something completely different. And it's like, oh, I care about you so much, I hit you when you leave. It's like, no.
That's, I like that you resurfaced that, and I was just remembering what you said about Pierre, that you agreed you're not going to ask for forgiveness. And recently when I apologized to somebody, I said, I'm not asking you for forgiveness. I'm just kind of confessing my accountability and that I did something really destructive, and I'm not asking you to forgive me. And I think I enjoy that, and I'm finding that in what you say.
I'm feeling a lot of gratitude for the spaciousness of this session, to hold so much at the same time. And it was really helpful for me to talk about the forgiveness course that I'm doing in this space, and just sort of take it out and look at it in a place where I knew that would be utterly held and there would be space, because all this stuff, I think, needs a huge amount of space and grace, actually. And maybe the grace comes when there's enough space, and only when there's enough space.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I think like the authenticity creates space, because when we create a space where it's completely welcome to say, and I may choose not to forgive, there's my freedom. That suddenly creates so much space for everybody, because there's no should. So thank you for bringing that here. Thank you for bringing the things that you grappled with in that space into a space and made it bigger by doing so. I'm very grateful for that.
Spaciousness creates spaciousness, isn't it? It's like Yeah. But then when the heart piece is present as well, it's not empty space. It's not like voidy space. It's something very with great value. Yeah.
Oh,
Is Nancy, are you okay there?
yeah,
She sent a message saying she had to go take care of stuff. So I don't know if she's still at the computer.
Would you like to check out at all, Anna?
Yeah, just different things that came to mind. Something about once tend to take too much responsibility. So what I was talking about being a rescuer and then being bashed by a narcissist, and then no, it's not my responsibility to forgive you. It's forgiving and you sort it out, whatever, that kind of thing. So this responsibility came to me. And then when we do these practices, and just recently I started reading your beautiful book again, Cicci, about aspects of you. And it's so beautifully written when you really go into these centers. And with these beautiful words that you and Sam are speaking, it's just to be with it and take your own responsibility for yourself, for your flesh, for your heart and breath. Yeah. It's just a good experience. Go ahead, please. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the very, very special time together. So grateful that you were here, and Sam and Cicci so beautifully healing. Thank you. So we'll send the slides to those of you who are here if you're interested in receiving them. And I'll add in some of the info, the slides that you shared, and Cicci, anything you want to share, links to books and various things like that. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. I wish you a very beautiful rest of your day or night, and hope to see you again soon.
Yeah.
All the best. Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
Mm.